Critical discourse analysis is an interdisciplinary approach to the study of discourse that views language as a form of social practice. Scholars working in the tradition of CDA generally assume that social practice and linguistic practice constitute one another and focus on investigating how societal power relations are established and reinforced through language use. Background: critical discourse analysis emerged from critical linguistics developed at the University of East Anglia in the 1970s, and the terms are now often interchangeable. Sociolinguistics was paying little attention to social hierarchy and power. CDA was first developed by the Lancaster School of Linguists, of which Norman Fairclough was the most prominent figure. Ruth Odak has also made a remarkable contribution to this field of study. In addition to linguistic theory, the approach draws from social theory and contributions from Karl Marx, Antonio Gramsci, Louis Althusser, Jawan Korta, Gen Habermas, Michel Foucault and Pierre Bourdieu in order to examine ideologies and power relations involved in discourse. Language connects with the social through being the primary domain of ideology, and through being both a site of, and a stake in, struggles for power. Ideology has been called the basis of the social representations of groups, and, in psychological versions of CDA developed by Tiane van Dijk and Ruth Odak, there is assumed to be a socio-cognitive interface between social structures and discourse structures. The historical dimension in critical discourse studies also plays an important role. Methodology: although CDA is sometimes mistaken to represent a method of discourse analysis, it is generally agreed upon that any explicit method in discourse studies, the humanities and social sciences, may be used in CDA research, as long as it is able to adequately and relevantly produce insights into the way discourse reproduces social and political inequality, power abuse or domination. That is, CDA does not limit its analysis to specific structures of text or talk, but systematically relates these to structures of the socio-political context. Norman Fairclough developed a three-dimensional framework for studying discourse, where the aim is to map three separate forms of analysis onto one another: analysis of language texts, analysis of discourse practice, and analysis of discursive events as instances of sociocultural practice. Particularly, he combines micro, meso and macro-level interpretation. At the micro level, the analyst considers various aspects of textual linguistic analysis, for example syntactic analysis, use of metaphor and rhetorical devices. The meso-level or level of discursive practice involves studying issues of production and consumption, for instance, which institution produced a text, who is the target audience, etc. At the macro level, the analyst is concerned with intertextual and interdiscursive elements and tries to take into account the broad, societal currents that are affecting the text being studied. Notable academics, notable writers include Norman Fairclough, Michael Csikszentmihalyi, Paul Chilton, Tiane van Dijk, Ruth Odak, Phil Graham, Theo van Leeuwen, Siegfried Jacquard, Christina Schacarency, James Paul G., Roger Fowler, Gunter Kress, Mary Talbot, Lily Chuliaraki, Thomas Huckin, Hilary Janks, Veronica Collar and Bob Hodge. See also: Bibliography. Notes References Calders Coulthard, Carmen Rosa, and Coulthard, Malcolm, Texts and Practices, Readings in Critical Discourse Analysis, London, Routledge. Chuliaraki, Lily and Norman Fairclough. Discourse in Late Modernity, Rethinking Critical Discourse Analysis. Edinburgh, Edinburgh University Press. Norman Fairclough. Media Discourse. London, Edward Arnold. Norman Fairclough. Analyzing Discourse, Textual Analysis for Social Research. London, Routledge. Jaworski, Adam, and Copeland, Nicholas. The Discourse Reader. New York, Routledge. Lazar, Michelle. Feminist Critical Discourse Analysis, Gender, Power and Ideology and Discourse. Basingstoke, Palgrave. Rogers, Rebecca. A Critical Discourse Analysis of Family Literacy Practices, Power in and Out of Print. Maher, New Jersey, Lawrence L. Baum. Rogers, Rebecca. An Introduction to Critical Discourse Analysis in Education. Maher, New Jersey, Lawrence L. Baum. Talbot, Mary, Atkinson, Karen and Atkinson, David. Language and Power in the Modern World. Edinburgh, Edinburgh University Press. Tulin, Michael. Critical Discourse Analysis, Critical Concepts in Linguistics. London, Routledge. Tulin, Michael. Critical Discourse Analysis, Critical Concepts in Linguistics. London, Routledge. Tulin, Michael. Critical Discourse Analysis, Critical Concepts in Linguistics. London, Routledge. Tulin, Michael. Critical Discourse Analysis, Critical Concepts in Linguistics. London, Routledge. Tilney van Dijk, Elite Discourse and Racism. Newbury Park, California, Sage. Tilney van Dijk, Racism and Discourse in Spain and Latin America. Amsterdam, Benjamins. Tilney van Dijk, Discourse and Power. Hounsmills, Palgrave. Weiss, Gilbert and Odak, Ruth. Critical Discourse Analysis, Theory and Interdisciplinarity in Critical Discourse Analysis. London, Palgrave. Young, Lynn and Harrison, Claire. Systemic Functional Linguistics and Critical Discourse Analysis, Studies in Social Change. London, Continuum. Anadushzak, Juliane House, Angstrom Erkazkumia Unregistered Trademark GAR, Globalization, Discourse, Media, in a Critical Perspective /Globalisierung, Discourse, Medien, ein kritisch Perspektive. Warsaw University Press, R. 2010. Further reading Henry Widdowson. Review of Fairclough's Discourse and Social Change. Applied Linguistics 16, 4, 510 euro 516. Norman Fairclough. A reply to Henry Widdowson's Discourse Analysis, A Critical View. Language and Literature 5, 1, 49 euro 56. Henry Widdowson. Reply to Fairclough, Discourse and Interpretation, Conjectures and Refutations. Language and Literature 5, 1, 57 euro 69. Henry Widdowson. The Theory and Practice of Critical Discourse Analysis. Applied Linguistics 19/1, 136 euro 151. O'Halloran, Kieran A. Critical Discourse Analysis and Language Cognition. Edinburgh, Edinburgh University Press. B. Grand, Robert de. Interpreting the Discourse of H. G. Widdowson, A Corpus-Based Critical Discourse Analysis. Applied Linguistics 22, 1, 104 euro 121. Tulin, Michael. What is Critical Discourse Analysis and why are people saying such terrible things about it? Language and Literature 6, 2, 83 euro 103. Stubbs, Michael. Worf's Children, Critical Comments on Critical Discourse Analysis. In Ryan, A. and Ray, A. Evolving Models of Language, British Studies in Applied Linguistics 12, Clevedon, BAAL Multilingual Matters. Blomert, Jan and Bulkanen, Chris. Critical Discourse Analysis. Annual Review of Anthropology 29, 447 euro 466. Blomert, Jan, Collins, James, Heller, Monica, Rampton, Ben, Slambrook, Steph and Jeff Asturan. Discourse and Critique. Special issue of Critique of Anthropology 21/1, 5 euro 107 and 21/2 117 to 183. Slambrook, Steph. Explanation, Interpretation and Critique in the Analysis of Discourse. Critique of Anthropology, 21, 33 euro 57. Slambrook, Steph. Discourse, Critique and Ethnography, Class-Oriented Coding in Accounts of Child Protection. Language Sciences 27 619 euro 650. Rudgold, Terry. Cultural Studies, Critical Theory and Critical Discourse Analysis, Histories, Remembering and Futures. Linguistic Online 14, 2. To White-Drake, Hugh. Resisting the Discourse of Critical Discourse Analysis, Reopening a Hong Kong Case Study. Journal of Pragmatics 31, 1081-1088. External links, discourseanalysis.net Research Portal and Mailing List, Critical Approaches to Discourse Analysis Across Disciplines Research Portal and Conference, discourses.org Website of Tian Van Dijk, Norman Fairclough's profile page. Research groups associated with CDA Language, Ideology and Power Research Group at Lancaster University, Newcastle Critical Discourse Group, Discourse and Rhetoric Group at Loughborough University. Journals associated with CDA Discourse and Society, Social Semiotics, Journal of Language and Politics, Critical Discourse Studies, Critical Approaches to Discourse Analysis Across Disciplines.